Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and yep, we're going to be talking about the whole Buzzfeed, CNN, Russian Dossier, Donald Trump press conference stuff. All right, and I already know what to expect out of this video in terms of dislikes, and that's okay. I'm going to try to be as objective as humanly possible with this video. I have my own biases. I believe those are abundantly clear at this point, but I still feel that there is a discussion to be had about this incident and why a lot of people, in my opinion, are overreacting to it. And they're not understanding, I think, the core concept of what happened. They're looking at the sensationalist part of it, but they're ignoring the true meat of the story. Now, here's the thing. I guess you could say a pure ideological level, I despise BuzzFeed. I think that they put out clickbait nonsense. I think that they push agendas when they shouldn't, and they do this in order to attract the millennial audience, of which they are losing greatly. And that's one of the reasons why I think they will do just about anything in order to maintain some level of relevance. But that's not what prompted them to do this particular bit of publishing. And I know a lot of people out there have thought that. And in my first video, I did make the joke that they got 2 million plus hits just in the first few hours of that dossier being published because of the salacious nature of it. And you know what? That probably was their intent. But what they did, though, does need to be looked at from a truly objective angle. Now, what we know is that it was not 4chan who was behind this. That was a prank perpetrated by them, and the fact that 4chan trolled the media into thinking that 4chan trolled the media is a wonderful thing. It is. It's a truly wonderful thing. And to them, I give absolute props and kudos because I love a good troll job and those guys are great. But all the trails run cold. There's no evidence to support the claims that have been made. It's not true. That is fake news. It is designed in order to be considered real, but truly fake. No truth to it whatsoever. That being said, what BuzzFeed posted could also be argued as being fake news if you take the document at face value. But it's not the document at face value that you should be looking into. What you should be looking into is what the document represents and why they chose to run with it. Now, CNN did post a story about this. They chose not to publish any element of the document, and they said that a 2-page synopsis had gone out to President Obama and President-elect Trump, which is 100% true. And even though Donald Trump tried to deny it, it was still, but Clapper released a statement saying he had given that to Trump. So Trump had it and he made an omission. Maybe he was trying to say, oh, well, I haven't seen the whole 35 pages until it got published on BuzzFeed. But he was aware that that document existed. Everyone was aware that document existed. It was talked about on Mother Jones from the end of October. It, according to Rick Wilson, started to be discussed and disseminated and passed around going as far back as July or June 2015, well before the anonymous posts on 4chan even remotely appeared. So the point is that this is a document that is a collection of memos put together by an ex-British intelligence agent who, according to many people, is viewed as extremely credible. And he released this document to people in Washington to discuss the possibility that Putin was attempting to groom Trump for the presidency. And given the fact that this document was running around the time of the election and all the interference from Russia in terms of WikiLeaks and the phishing scams and everything else, a lot of people were very curious to know whether or not those allegations were true. And that document is the story, not the contents of the document. As funny as the piss story in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel presidential suite is, that's not the story, right? Pissgate, or I don't know what, Pizzagate, whatever you want to call it, is not the story. It's simply what was chosen and cherry-picked, and then nothing else in that document was taken as serious because everyone looked at it as being an unethical thing to publish. Here's the thing. BuzzFeed, had they not gone forward and said that this is unverified, unproven information, and they would have presented it as absolute infallible fact, then that would be a violation of the Society of Professional Journalists. That would be unethical, and that would definitely call into concern any kind of credibility they have moving forward. And as I stated at the beginning of this, I'm not a fan of BuzzFeed. I'm not a fan of BuzzFeed at all. But They chose to publish something that they admitted was unproven and unverifiable. But like I said, what was in the document is irrelevant to the document's existence. Trump tried to equate the two together, right? Therefore, basically trying to make it all irrelevant. But that's not the case. What was inside those 35 pages, the allegations of Russia grooming Trump, the allegations of sexual impropriety with prostitutes in St. Petersburg and in Moscow, all of those things, I don't know if they're true or not. And I don't know if we're ever going to know if they're true or not. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. What matters here is that the document that people in the upper echelons of the United States government had in regards to Donald Trump and a possible Russian, I guess you could say, oversight of him or overseeing of him is what the story is. And that is also what CNN was talking about, is these allegations, right? Not so much what the allegations were, just that they existed. And this is the problem with the way that the internet media works. And this is also a problem with the way that certain people on the internet like to operate. As the situation was unfolding the other night, I was watching as multiple alt-right and right-wing Twitter accounts and discussion, like commentators, were trying to run the story, spin the story, trying to pull an I am Spartacus for who leaked it to Rick Wilson potentially, even though Rick Wilson has come out and vehemently denied that he had any involvement in this. Right. And he's even said, hey, if I have any involvement, those who I was a source to, you have my permission to leak the information, to put it out there, to publish it. Right. And if this person had anything to hide, he wouldn't, publicly give away that particular protection. So one could pretty much just assume that that is not the case. One of the things, though, that I find to be truly fascinating about this is there's a level of hypocrisy here from a lot of internet commentators that are upset at CNN and Buzzfeed over what happened. They look at the way the media operates and they are untrusting of the media. And I completely understand that. The media does lie to you. The media does distort the facts. But then again, so do a lot of internet commentators. Sometimes we only have some bits of information and not all other information is available. In the 24/7 news media world, it is getting increasingly harder to get all of the story all at once. It comes out in snippets. And trust me, as a person who does this as a full-time job, it is something that is always a constant problem. It's always a constant problem. So you have to ask yourself, do you publish something now or do you wait till later? Is the relevancy going to be there? Are you going to miss out? It's a constant problem. And it's one that inside of commentators, which, essentially kind of run parallel to news media themselves, have to always ask ourselves. But back to the subject at hand. Looking at this particular document, the document being passed around is the story. BuzzFeed publishing that document is definitely not unethical. Them not redacting certain elements of it, that's up for personal debate. But I think because there was no specific dates that I could see, there were allegations that were made, but they are listed as allegations. I don't find that to be unethical either, because this was a document that was being passed around. This is a kind of document that WikiLeaks would have published. And I think WikiLeaks' response to this also was in part because they were mad they didn't publish it, because they would have. They would have absolutely published it. And that's, again, part of what they do is they find that information and they publish it. They can't verify everything that they publish, but they publish it anyway. And that's what BuzzFeed did. So I do think that ultimately we need to give BuzzFeed the benefit of the doubt here. What they did was a hard call. They made a tough call, but they made the right call because they wanted people out there to know. They wanted the American public to know that this document existed. That here were these allegations, that not just a 2-page synopsis that pops up in the news media, but the actual 35 pages. You can read them. You can have that transparency, things we should have seen anyway. I didn't see on there anything saying this is classified. Donald Trump said that it was illegal, but if it's being passed around, it's not really the most classified thing ever. Christ, I would argue that Hillary Clinton's email server was less protected than this document. But it's out there now. We've been able to read it and we've been able to disseminate it and we've been able pretty much to look at it and go, okay, a lot of this is pretty much not true. All right. But at the same time, we should commend BuzzFeed for actually making that tough call, because how many news outlets out there would have actually done it, would have gone that length and published a document that had been making its way around, calling into question Trump's loyalties, and not even spinning it as a negative. They didn't turn it as a negative at all. They published it as unverified, unproven, with no political spin, which is precisely the ethical thing to do. So yes, this is one of those moments in time where I will sit there and go, BuzzFeed did the right thing. Again, you are absolutely free to agree or disagree with me. Either way, I want you guys to comment below. I want you to express your thoughts, because this is a subject matter that I do feel needs logical, rational, even-footed discussion, and not, falling into honeypot traps from 4chan or internet commentators trying to spin the story in their direction to further discredit it or disprove it or anything else. And also, just because you disagree with something doesn't make it fake news. This story is not fake news. What it represents is information that we should, as a country, as a people, know about, because these were allegations made against our soon-to-be president, and that is something that, well, quite frankly, I want to know. And knowing after the election is fine with me as well. It's not going to change anything. The Electoral College has already voted. It's happening. Okay, 8 days. All right, 8 days until Trump becomes the 45th president. That's not changing. But it does give us an understanding into what the thoughts, I guess, and fears of Russia's involvement in our election are, because there's been a number of those that have come out. People are worried about another Cold War. People are worried about going back down that particular road that we've fought long and hard to get away from. And this, if anything, gives Trump the opportunity to go, this is categorically false. This is untrue. Sadly, he didn't do that to an extent. He dismissed a lot of things, didn't necessarily outright deny everything he said, which I had a problem with, but whatever. But he should take this as a moment to look forward or to move forward and open a dialogue with Putin, a transparent, open discussion, and show both Putin, both the Russians and us here in the States, that a partnership can be formed, moving together to stop and thwart ISIS's advancement and to end that terrorist organization once and for all. If it was me, guys, I would spin this thing as a way to build unity rather than further the divide. That's just me. But again, I want to hear your thoughts. Leave them below. Talk to you guys later. Peace out. All right, everyone, that wraps up this video. My name is Mundane Matt. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe if you're new, check back daily for more content from me, or if you want to know about my life, check out Mundane Chats, or top 5 videos that are awesome as fuck, forbidden knowledge right here. Talk to you guys later, have yourself a good day, and peace out.